Hey there, third grade. We are going to be getting started today on page 145. Today we are working on lesson 4.8, which is solve multiplication and division equations. At the end of our lesson today, we want you to be able to say, I can use multiplication and division facts to find unknown values in equations. All right, an equation is just a multiplication problem, right? So if we had 2 times 4 equals 8, this is an equation because we're doing an operation and solving it. Same with the reverse. 8 divided by 4 equals 2 is another equation. Equation just means that we are solving a problem. So when it says we want to use multiplication and division facts to find an unknown value, that would be something like using, when we have a problem, 8 divided by something equals 4. All right, well, the unknown is the thing that's missing here. So 8 divided by what equals 4? We're going to solve for 2. So we're going to be doing multiplication and division today and solving it in that way. Go ahead and turn with me to page 146. So on page 146, we can see that they've got some examples set up for us here. And this is called a scale, and this is called a pan scale, right? And so a pan scale, you have to have equal parts on both sides, which is why they're showing 35 divided by 7 equals 5. Now, the reason that that means is that both sides have to be worth the exact same. If they are not worth the exact same, then the scale would be tipped over, right? We would have, if this was smaller, it would go lower because, or it would go higher because it's worth less, and the heavier one would go down. So when we're using a pan balance or a scale, that's what this looks like. Well, let's take another quick look. I'm going to use my whiteboard. I just want you to follow along with me for right now. So you don't need to take out a whiteboard. Just have your eyes here, okay? An equation means that we're using our equal sign. All right. And so when we have simple problems like this, right? 4 is equal to 4. And I don't think there's anybody who would be confused by that. If this is 4, it's the same as 4. Well, we're actually saying the same thing every time we do a problem. 2 plus 2. What is 2 plus 2? Well, it's 4, which means that this is the same as this, right? Which means that it's equal to this. These are all the same. It's just a different way of us writing our answer, okay? Which is the same reason why when we have a problem and it's set up in the opposite direction, 4 is equal to 2 plus 2, it doesn't matter which side our operation is on, because all that we care about is that both sides of our equation are balanced, are the same. And so that's why we can do different types of problems. And so if we've got 5 times 5, all right, when I put equal to, what I'm saying is, what is this? And then I'm going to write it in a different way over here. Well, 5 times 5 is 25. So I'm just writing that in a different way over here. Okay, the equal sign just means both have to be the same. All right. Are you ready for me to blow your mind for just a minute? All right. 5 times 5, we know that's worth 25. That is the same as 20 plus 5, isn't it? What is 20 plus 5? Well, 20 plus 5 is 25. 5 times 5 is 25. These are equal. So even though over here I'm using addition, over here I'm using multiplication, the equation still checks out. It is still equal because at the end, when I solve all of those, I get the same answer on both sides. All that the pan scale cares about is whether or not we have the same amount on both sides. All right, that's what we're trying to figure out today. So when we look here, 35 divided by 7, all right, 35 divided by 7 is equal to 5. These are balanced because they are equal, okay? Well, over here, here's some other examples. So 16 divided by 4 is equal to, whoa, check this out. 2 times 2. Wait a second. These are different operations, aren't they? They are. But what is 16 divided by 4? Well, 16 divided by 4, grab your pencil and fill it in with me. 16 divided by 4 is equal to 4. What's 2 times 2? Well, 2 times 2 is equal to, you got it, 4. 4 is equal to 4. The way that we get to there is different, but our answer is equal on both sides. So now let's check out our next problem. So here we've got an unknown, so we don't know what this is. Something is equal to 80 divided by 10. Well, what's 80 divided by 10? Well, if I use my fact triangle real quick, put my 80 on top and 10 over here, 10 times what gives me 80? Well, it's 8, right? Which means on this side, I can just write 8 because 8 is equal to 80 divided by 10 because when we solve that, this equation comes out to be 8. So then we can ask our question, well, is 8 equal to 8? It sure is. So here, that's what we're saying when we have 8 is equal to when we solve 80 divided by 10. Okay? Check out letter C for me down here, all right? Letter C. It says, let me go ahead and, there we go. All right. Frank has some tubes of tennis balls. Each tube has, underlined, 4 tennis balls. Frank has 8 tennis balls in all. And then we're going to circle how many tubes of tennis balls does he have? We underlined our important information, and we're wanting to find out how many tubes. So, how many tennis balls does he have? Well, he's got 8. That's where that 8 came from. And how many tennis balls goes in a tube? Well, that's 4. So that's what goes right here. Here is our equation. 8 is equal to something times 4. Well, 4 times what is equal to 8? I hope that you were able to say, well, 2, right? So let's take a look at our pan scale real quick. It says some equations have symbols to represent unknowns. The question mark that we had here represents the number of tubes of tennis ball Frank has. So right there, our green question mark is telling us that's the unknown. A multiplication fact that will match that, we already said it. 4 times 2 is equal to 8. So what is the value of that unknown, that question mark? Well, the answer here was 2. All right, that's how we can solve these types of problems. Well, let's go ahead and check out page 147 and see how we can do these together. All right, so here we are on page 147, and I see in my how do you know, I see that we've got not a lot of space here. So you might want to grab a whiteboard or just some extra pieces of paper, something like that, to help you solve these different problems. I've got my fact triangle. I like to laminate it so that way I can write on it. But you could also, like I said, grab a whiteboard and draw a triangle. You could also grab a scratch piece of paper to draw your triangle. Or if you're like, I know my facts, I don't need it, that's great too. But let's go ahead and take a look. So for number 2, all right, number 2 is 9 times, and we already said this question mark is an unknown. So 9 times, and I like to just say something, is equal to 27. All right. Well, if this is a multiplication problem, my 2 factors will go down here. So 9 and then a question mark. And up at the top, I'm going to put my 27. All right. I don't like this question mark that much. Let me try it again. Here we go. There we go. That's a little better. All right. So 9 times what is equal to 27? And then I can also figure out my division problem saying 27 divided by 9 is equal to what? Well, what goes there? 9 times, I hope that you're like, oh, Mr. Campbell, I remember these facts. 9 times 3 is equal to 27. So what that means is I need to make sure that I put in here 3, right? 9 times 3 is equal to 27. And I'm writing out my whole equation because that way I know that my teacher, when they check it out, they're going to be like, okay, I can see that Mr. Campbell knew we needed that 3 there. Well, let's check out, we're going to actually switch it up and jump down to number 5 next. All right, come down here to number 5. Number 5 says, an unknown divided by 3 is equal to 6. Now, when we've been using our fact triangles, I've tried to use the same words over and over again, which is when we have a division problem, we always start with the, I hope you were saying, largest number, right? And so if the largest number here is what we're starting with, that number always goes on top. Do I have that right here? No, I don't, right? I have an unknown. So I'm going to start by putting my question mark at the top. And then I know my other 2 numbers are my 2 factors, 3 and 6. Well, when I put it together like this seems like a much easier problem because I know 3 times 6 is equal to 18. Do you see how we did that? We put our question mark where the beginning part was. That's called our dividend. Goes up at the top. Our divisor's on the side. And then our quotient was over here. Well, then I can flip it around and say my two factors, the things I multiply, are down here. And my answer, my product, is up there. Well, let's go ahead and now we can write this in. So I have 18 divided by 3 is equal to 6. All right. Now, we have been working on these types of problems, so I'm going to go ahead and hope that you're going to be able to answer number 3 and 4. And then we've got these down here. It's number 6, 7, 8, and 9 are all going to be the same kind of setup, where you're looking at that and going, okay, what's the missing piece of information? I can use a fact triangle. I can use the facts that I already know to solve those problems. I want us to go ahead and go down to number 11 for me. I'm going to skip 10 and go to 11. And do you notice whenever I read our examples, I always ask you to underline things? That's because when we get to a problem like this, if you've already practiced that, it's going to be so much easier for you. And so that's what we're going to do today. So let's see. It says, there were some sheep in a barnyard. Each sheep had 4 legs. So underline that because each sheep has 4 legs. There were 24 legs in the barnyard. How many sheep were in the barnyard? That's what I'm circling. Use question mark to represent the number of sheep in the barnyard. All right, so we know that there's 4 legs. We underline that. There's 24 total legs. And we want to know how many sheep. So question mark for sheep. All right. Well, let's see. They told us we have our total number of legs, which in a division problem is that first number, right? That's the total. So if I were making my fact triangle, which I'm going to do right over here, and I hope you're following along and writing these things down with me because you're going to be practicing this in just a minute. I want you to be prepared. If 24 is the total number of legs, that's my largest number is going to go up here. Then I have 4 legs. Well, now I can say, well, what's 24 divided by 4? So my equation that I'm going to write is exactly that. 24, write it with me, divided by 4 equals, and then we can put in our question mark. 24 legs divided by 4 on each animal will tell me how many sheep I need. All right. Well, let's go ahead and solve this real quick. So 4 times what will give me 24? Well, let's see. 4, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. The answer was 6. Now I can just solve that. 24 divided by 4 is equal to 6. And what was that question mark? We said the question mark we were looking for was sheep, right? So the answer here is 6 sheep. All right. So we can use this equation to write out, because it asked us to use a question mark to represent the number of sheep, and then solve that problem. All right. I'm going to have you go ahead and try out one on your own. You're going to try number 13 right now on your own. So pause the video, solve 13, and then we'll go over it together. All right, I hope you were able to solve number 13. If not, pause your video and do that now. But it says there were 6 ladybugs on a leaf. Underline that. Each ladybug had the same number of spots. There were 36 spots. How many spots were on each ladybug? That's what we're circling. So we've got 6 ladybugs. We've got 36 spots. And what are we trying to find out? The number of spots on each ladybug. All right. So question mark spots on ladybugs. And the reason that I'm writing this out and talking through it, these are the questions you should be asking when you do number 10 and number 12 in just a few minutes. You should ask yourself, what is that important information? Use question mark to represent the number of spots on each ladybug. So we know there's 6 ladybugs, 36 spots. How many spots on each ladybug? Well, I'm going to go ahead and draw my fact family triangle. And I need to figure out where these numbers go. 6, 36, and my question mark. All right. Well, I know that the largest number goes on top. So I need to figure out, is 36 going to be my largest number? Or is this question mark going to be the largest number? Well, I said the total number of spots was 36. And I want to know how many are on every single ladybug, which tells me I need to take this 36 and break it into smaller numbers, which means my question mark here should be a smaller number, right? So my 36 is going to go up on top, all right? My 6 ladybugs will be one of my factors, and that means my question mark will be my other factor, all right? So if we've got that, there we go. All right, if we've got 36 divided by 6 equals what? I can flip that around, but I can start that off. So 36 divided by 6 equals, and we're going to put our unknown right here. When I flip this question around and say 6 times the unknown is equal to 36. It's the same problem. I'm just using my unknown in different spots. Well, I know my 6 facts, and I know that 6 times 6 equals 36. So how many spots are on each ladybug? 6. There are 6 spots on every single one. This is how you can go through this. This is how you can solve these word problems. Underline your important information. Write out your information. Draw your fact family. Make sure that you put in that question mark, because that's one of the things it asked you to do in this problem. Okay? They're going to ask you for different things sometimes. You just need to figure out how to use the important information that you've been practicing and put it all together. All right, well, 3rd grade, you guys have done an awesome job. This is our last lesson in this topic. Make sure when you take your test, follow the same steps of what we've been working on this entire topic, and have a great rest of the day. We will see you next time.